and get intelligent alerts, like when a package has arrived. When the most trusted name in home security adds the intelligence of Google, you have a home with no worries. Brought to you by ADT.
Have you or anyone you know ever been stationed at Marine Corps Base Camp Lejeune? Camp Lejeune's water was contaminated by fuel leaks. If you had any water contact while at Camp Lejeune and been diagnosed with cancer, be entitled to compensation. As a Marine who was stationed at Camp Lejeune myself for 4 years, this cause hits close to home. So if you've been stationed or visited Marine Corps Base Camp Lejeune and have cancer or Parkinson's, visit CampLejeuneInjury.com. Morgan & Morgan, for the veterans.
Sean breaks down the big stories like no one else.
Crisis after crisis, Joe Biden is failing this country on a massive scale.
Don't miss Hannity weeknights.
This is Fubo TV. It's a better way to watch live news, shows, and sports without cable. Watch multiple games at once with Multiview. Try free at FuboTV.com.
When my home smells fresh, I feel at ease. My friend Bryson over here, well, he could use some help. Pretty Litter's crystals absorb odor on contact, is 99% dust-free, and delivers right to my door. Ready to make the switch? Go to prettylitter.com.
Attention Medicare beneficiaries. If you have or are eligible for Medicaid, please listen closely. You may be eligible for a Medicare Advantage plan from WellCare with a zero or low plan premium. Call now. We can answer your questions and help you enroll over the phone. WellCare provides access to essential benefits that go beyond original Medicare, such as dental, vision, hearing, and prescription drug coverage with free home delivery, free over-the-counter healthcare items, free groceries with a healthy food card, free gym membership, and home-delivered meals. Plus, extra benefits like more access to care with free transportation and WellCare's telehealth services, including online doctor visits. WellCare is contracted with Medicare to provide plans that may be perfect for you. Call 1-844-982-0028 now. That's 1-844-982-0028. WellCare, Medicare done well.
This year, your new favorite shows are streaming on Fox Nation.
When I read what it took for Yellowstone to be here so that we could all enjoy it, I realized that this was a story that I suddenly wanted to share.
I say when I'm done, not them.
They had unboundless, unlimited optimism.
We fixing to get filthy, stinking rich boys.
Fox Nation, they give you the power. Our team embedded with Kid Rock.
Sign up and start streaming today.
Well, there was a near miss at the New York City's John F. Kennedy Airport as two planes narrowly avoided crashing into each other on the runway. Here's what happened. Delta Flight 1943 was heading to the Dominican Republic. As it was about to take off, crews noticed the American Airlines plane taxiing from an adjacent runway. And that's when Delta pilots slammed the brakes, averting an almost certain catastrophe. This all happened around 8:45 p.m. on Friday the 13th. The FAA is investigating. Mike?
Dana, more people confirmed dead in a Russian missile strike in eastern Ukraine Saturday. Officials say at least 40 civilians were killed after a rocket hit a residential building there. First responders are still searching for survivors who may be trapped under piles of crumpled concrete and bent steel. All this as we approach the one-year mark for the start of the war. Let's bring in retired General Jack Keane. General, good morning.
Yep. Good morning, Mike.
So as you look at that devastation, my understanding is that apartment building had about 1,700 residents, so you would expect the casualty count to soar a great amount higher. What does that strike tell you, a strike on a purely civilian target at this stage of the war?
Yeah, well, this is Putin's strategy. I mean, we're coming up to a year mark, and obviously he tried to take Ukraine in a couple of weeks, and his campaign failed miserably. Miscalculated, underestimated the Ukrainians, overestimated his own troops, and we know some of the details supporting all of that. And what he has resorted to is largely on the ground. He's pretty much conducting a defensive campaign where he's consolidating his forces along a 1,300-mile defensive line and conducted some very limited attacks along that defensive line, particularly in the vicinity of Soledar and Bakhmut, and suffering enormous casualties in doing that. So his ground campaign is sort of stalemated. It'd be the best way to describe it. But his air campaign, what he resorted to was to destroy the physical infrastructure of Ukraine, cripple its economy, and break the will of the Ukrainian people. And that is what this campaign is about, is that we're witnessing this weekend. It is horrific in terms of the human tragedy that's taken place here. And certainly Russia has to be called out for what this is, a bona fide war crime targeting a civilian apartment building. But that strategy will continue. But Mike, it's failing because he's intending to break the will of the Ukrainian people. And anybody that's been talking to the Ukrainian people, and I've had the opportunity to do some of that, I mean, they are steadfast. Their resolve is there. They are in this for the end. And that's kind of where we are. And what's happening this year, Mike, is that the Ukrainians have an opportunity to take more territory back. And they need advanced weapons and actually armor systems to do that. And you see some of them coming their way. They need much more of that. And I think the United States has got to step up also with main battle tanks and advanced long-range missiles to give them a hand with this. But they really have an opportunity to retake a lot of territory while the Russians are focused on the defense. And that'll be this year, because if the war gets protracted beyond this year, it starts to swing towards Russia, because Russia has a huge advantage in people. He's mobilized 300,000. We're told he's going to mobilize another 500,000. He's going to grow his military from 1.3 to 2 million. He has the same equipment problems that Ukraine has in trying to generate them himself. Ukraine is dependent on others. But the people issue, Putin believes, is in his favor, and he can outlast the Ukrainians on the ground in terms of casualties, and also outlast the political will of the United States and the Europeans. That's really where we are. And it's encouraging to see the Europeans continuing to step up and the United States continuing to step up, even though we could do more.
General Jack Keane, thanks so much for your time. Have a wonderful day.
Yeah, great talking to you, Mike.
Well, even more classified documents found at the president's Delaware home as the special counsel appointed to investigate Biden begins its first full week here on a Monday. Plus, the migrant surge at the border hitting epic proportions, on pace to see more than 250,000 encounters in a single month for the first time in history. We are live at the border as big city mayors on the front lines are speaking out.
At Redland Cotton, our traditions are grown and sown right here in our hometown of Moulton, Alabama.